Hi, ISTEM students. This is Mrs. Carter. I wanted to talk to you today about how to properly record a measurement. So the first thing that we need to think about is what is the scale of the instrument? So figure out the scale, or in other words, like what does each mark represent on our measuring tool? What are we counting by? If you look at our ruler here, we can see it does say mm here. That means millimeters. So each of these tiny marks here is a millimeter or a tenth of a centimeter. So if we have gone 5 millimeters, that's 0.5 centimeters. The big numbers represent centimeters, whole centimeters, or 10 millimeters. Next, what we need to do is we need to write down the numbers that we know for sure. So we have certainty about them. We're going to write those down first. And so if we look at where our arrow is pointing on this ruler, we know that it's definitely at least 12. If I count my markings in between, I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I know that it is somewhere between marking 7 and marking 8. So I know with certainty that this measurement is definitely 12.7. But then I can actually go one step farther. So the next thing I need to do is I need to write down one more number that is an estimate. So we knew with certainty that this was definitely 12.7. And now if I look at the tip of that arrow, it is falling in between 12.7 and 12.8. It looks to me like it's a little less than half, so I might say maybe 12.73. That 3 at the end there is the estimated digit. If you had looked at this and you said, well, Ms. Carter, I really think it's like 12.74 or 12.72, that's just fine because that estimated digit at the end is where we know that we have uncertainty. So there may be a little variation between you and the person next to you. The last thing we need to do is we need to put a unit after the number. So we would really properly record this as 12.73 cm, centimeters. But what if it's right on the line? So here you can see that we have a ruler, okay? Again, we're gonna just pay attention to the millimeter centimeter side, the metric side. And we have our red line there falling right on the line. So we know that then we think, really our estimated digit should represent that that's right on the line, and our estimated digit will then be a 0. So we would record this as 3.30 centimeters. Now, some of you might be saying, well, in math class, I don't have to put that 0 in there. But in math class, you're oftentimes not necessarily talking about measurements. In science, when we're talking about measurements, that 0 is very important. That 0 is important because it tells people how precisely we are able to measure with the measuring tool we have. So other units of measurement that we have here, our base unit for length is meters. Then we can get bigger. We can go to a decameter, which is 10 meters, a hectometer, which is 100 meters, or a kilometer, which is 1,000 meters. Or we can get smaller from that base unit. A decimeter is 1/10 of a meter. Or you could think of it as 10 decimeters equals 1 meter. A hundredth of a meter is a centimeter. So either 1/100th of a meter is equal to 1 centimeter, or 100 centimeters equals 1 meter. And then we have milli. So 1 millimeter is 1/1000th of a meter. Or you can think of it as 1,000 millimeters is equal to 1 meter. Now, I do want to point out that there are some of these that you have probably heard of before, and some of them you have not. Some we are going to use more than others. And so the ones that I put stars by here, kilo, just meter, the base unit, centi, and milli, are the ones that we will probably use the most in this class. So now let's go ahead and do a little practice. We want to write the metric measurement shown by the red line to the left of the rulers on your sheet. So you've got 4 to try. So I have 2 on this slide and I have 2 on the next. So go ahead, pause the video, give it a try and see what you get for those, and then we'll check here in a minute. Okay, so let's go ahead and check our answers. If we look at that first ruler there, it looks like it's really close to 14, but just underneath. So I said 13.98 centimeters. Again, if you are a little bit different in that very last digit there, that's just fine. Again, we're not paying attention to the inches side like we talked about before. The metric system is what we use as scientists. So we are going to stick to that top side of the ruler here. If I look at the next one, I definitely know it's at least 6. It looks like it's definitely 6.6. And I estimated then this might be 6.73. If we take a look at the next one, this one is really tiny and it looks like it's falling right on the line. So when I see that something's falling on the line, I'm thinking about the fact that I'm probably going to be ending it with a 0. So for this one, I read that it was 0.40 centimeters. And then last, we have one more ruler here. It is definitely at the 9. It is, I came up with 9.28. It is hard to tell there. If you can get really close, you might be able to, if you couldn't get very close, you might think it's maybe 9.30 right on the line, and that's acceptable also. So again, record all the numbers that you know with certainty, record one more that is an estimate that may be a 0, and then record your unit along with it.